Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. This is our second main image monthly, slightly different lineup. Of course, Sim is here, and both of the guys from ProductPinion are here also, and of course, co-host Adam Heist. So today, I'm going to hand over to Sim. Sim's decided on what ASIN we're looking at optimizing, coming up with different ideas, and me and the other guys will bring up some of our data and some of the changes we would make with it. And of course, Adam and Sim will do a full breakdown as sellers of what they would do also. So kicking off, Sim, what made you choose the product for this one?
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Right, so for the first podcast that we did a month ago, we were a little bit more rushed then, weren't we? So I was frantically asking friends, have you got an ASIN that you'd like to be for us to review on the podcast? One friend, I pulled his arm, I twisted his arm and got him to give up an ASIN for us, and I think we did a pretty good job. And like I said last time, we're going to try and design that for him and make the changes that we came up with in the last podcast. For this one, I've been a bit more selfish. So we're about to enter this niche. The reason is that we have had really good success on TikTok recently, and this then forced us to sort of go back in our product research ClickUp space and start looking for things that were a bit more demonstrable and a bit more TikTok friendly. So this product we're launching very soon. So the packaging artwork's all been done, the product's in production, and it's shouldn't be too long before we get to launch this. And this is quite exciting because there is a chance that in a month's time we're going to have our final images done that we could perhaps review on this podcast again. So the market is silicon food bags, like reusable silicon food bags. Now, we always start in the UK. Now, we normally do that just so we can control the reviews a bit better, control the stock, understand what the product is, how the market's taking it, and then we can branch out to other marketplaces. But we're especially starting in the UK this time because TikTok. We are UK sellers. We have UK TikTok accounts, and we can absolutely ramp up the affiliate outreach and all this stuff. I could show some numbers later on what we've done on another product and why people should be doing this, but given this a main image show, I'll save that for now, unless it's interesting later. So
cool.
Yeah, we're focusing on TikTok. Once we have success here, we'll try to move to the US. But so in this podcast, we're going to look at the US. I've selfishly asked for silicon food bags to be the topic so that we've got ideas to give to our designer, who may or may not be watching this right now. But we'll come up with ideas for the designer so that we have the best main image possible with all the polling done, hopefully, to create an amazing creative brief and hit the ground running.
Cool. Adam, do you have any words before the boys jump in and we'll pull up some data and videos and stuff? Audio. Adam, just need to unmute.
Sorry, that's I haven't done that in like probably a year, so it's been a minute since I did the mute game. But no, man, I think this is a great forum. I think that we've talked about this in other sessions and offline and stuff. I do think that this is one of the key linchpin features of Amazon is folks really thoughtfully thinking about how they creatively show the visuals of their product to compel people to buy. And obviously the main image is 98% of that. So really pumped to dig into this, and we'll go from the data first, and I'll give you kind of some of my thoughts as we roll on.
Cool. Do you want to share slides, etc., guys, and I'll pop it onto the screen?
Yeah, let's get it rolling. Okay.
We'll do yours, and then I've actually, Sim, I've got some stuff from last show, some alternatives, so you can give them to your friend as well if you like.
Nice, that's great.
All right, let's get into it. All right.
Cool. So I think Andri's going to take it away, and Andri, just let me know when to change the slides.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll talk about qualitative testing, the first stage of testing, as we call it, and let's dive into a little bit of a personal experience. So while we're watching this image, I'm going to tell you one quick fact. I recently moved from Vancouver, Canada to London, UK. And the weather is similar, the language is similar. But the first noticeable difference I experienced was the public transit system, and especially the underground, aka the tube. And there are many things that can be said about it, but one thing you'll definitely notice when you visit or if you live here, after you take a few rides in this tube system, there's this public safety action plan by British Transport Police. And they explain common public safety scenarios and end it with an action plan. And the action plan message sounds like this: see it, say it, sort it. I'm not using the right accent for it, but it's essentially when
see
the public
it, say it, sort it. I've done it for you.
Thank you, Danny. That's exactly it. So the goal of this message is for the public to see something concerning, report it, so they say it, and then Transport Police will sort it. Okay. So I want all the listeners to remember this simple action plan, not only for when they are in London Tube, but also when it comes to Amazon listing optimization as well. So as a seller, let's go to the next slide. As a seller, you want to allow your target demographic to see the issue, see the competitor, see the scene, see what's wrong. Then, next slide, you want them to say it. You want to listen to what they're saying, pay attention. And so, third stage, you can actually sort it as a seller and convert better and sell more. Okay. Now, let's dive a little bit more into the actual case we have. So again, see it, say it, sort it. So the Pinion videos is what we do for the qualitative testing. So for you to mind the gap, so to say, you want to be able to watch how people shop, and not just anybody, but people in your target audience shopping for your product, searching for the main keyword, and answering questions about what actually matters to them when they look at the search results and click around on different listings, okay? And the way we do it, so that you don't have to copy your competition, you watch the recording screen when people speak out loud, everything they see, everything that's concerning. And let's move to the next stage so I can show you the questions we usually ask. So the questions we ask in this case, for this specific case study, are question 1, which silicone bags for food storage on the search results page would you most likely click into to buy, and why? Second question, click into your top 3 silicone bag listings, and for each, what did you like, what could be improved? And the last question, for the silicone bags, what features and benefits are important to you, okay? So there's a quick video example, if I can share here, so you can get a better idea. How do I switch to it? Maybe you can help me, Danny, to click into the video file now.
Yeah, I see. Do you have the video maybe separate? Because I think you have to upload the video
here.
Yeah. So if you upload the video as a video, because then it'll play the audio out. I think it struggles with inside of a slide. I should have mentioned that.
Oh, okay. So how do we switch from slides to the video?
So if you took that off the screen
and
then upload your video, so you take the video file, so you should be able to go to present, and then slides, video file, upload the video file. Then that way the audience be able to hear the audio externally.
I think I uploaded it twice now. Let's
so that's fine. We can bring it to the stage.
So just first of all, looking at this, I would go ahead and click on Loreen 10-pack dishwasher safe.
I like the different sizes. Dishwasher safe, that's good. It looks like it could go in the freezer or the fridge.
Perfect. Yeah, that's everything. Let's go back to the slides so we can break this down. Okay. Essentially, it was
so
like half an hour worth of listening.
So just first of all,
there you go, slides.
Yeah, perfect. So the main takeaway from all the videos we watched were that it's super critical that it's a dishwasher safe product. Okay. There's some of the quotes. I'll read a couple. I'm not seeing that it's a dishwasher safe. Never mind. It's a dishwasher safe. She read the bullets. This is important. Would these designs fall off the dishwasher though? I need them to be sturdy, and they must be leak proof seal super well. Then again, are they really reusable, or after a few months washing them in a dishwasher, they will no longer be 100% leak proof? So these are the concerns, and pretty much everyone, out of 10 videos I watched, everyone said that it's important for them that these bags are dishwasher safe, okay? Critical. Next one, BPA free. So this is one of those things that probably most of them, if not all of them, are actually BPA free, but if you don't say it, you lose it. So you want to be able to communicate, at least in the listing, or like this example in the title. May not be the most SEO important keyword for you, but it helps you convert, get the click, okay? I don't need to explain what BPA is. So third takeaway is variety of sizes. A lot of people were just scrolling through packs of 2s and 3s. So Sim, take that into account. People wanted to have different sizes for different foods that they would use this for, okay? One of the quotes, the variety pack is what's standing out to me right now. I keep disposable bags in many different sizes. So someone who's actually using these products, okay? So critical, important point. And now next to takeaways, these are just more like ideas that I took from what I've heard from people giving the feedback. One of the ways the seller could differentiate is by including accessories to keep the bags open in dishwasher, so they definitely wash properly inside. Another idea, same kind of point here, you could potentially create silicone tabs on the sides with holes so you can keep the bags open in the dishwasher and communicate visually in image number 2, 3, and so on, that this is the best one for actually being dishwasher washable. So now that we know what matters, next stage is figure out how you convey that message effectively, and also what's very important, where you deliver it. Now Matt address the rest of this.
Yeah, so based on that feedback, we're like, okay, let's come up with some concepts that should be worth testing. And what I like to do is take a look at, well, this is the original, right? So we all know this is the original image. And what I'd like to do is kind of take a look at what we're competing against with. So take a look at the, this is when you search silicone reusable bags, super colorful, right? Lots of different sizes and shapes and that sort of thing. And as an Amazon seller, your mind should kind of go to, hey, how can I stand out? How can I be different? How can I interrupt a pattern? So the first thought I had in my head was, hey, maybe do something by not being super colorful and just be, plain, kind of simple. And hopefully that will get some attention, that because it'll differ from all the other guys there. So we're able to make a quick mock-up in a feature that we have called Variationizer. In this case, I figured we'd have some empty bags, but then maybe we'd throw a leaf on there just to show that it's eco-friendly. Because people in the videos also mentioned that eco-friendly was a big thing. I mean, that's why you're using these reusable bags to begin with. So that's just how you do it. And in like 20 seconds, you have a new main image, you remove the background there, and you're good to go for a test. And you can do that too, just variationizer.com. So we made this first concept, but then it got me thinking, there's other ways of making it look eco-friendly. So instead of maybe just the typical leaf, maybe I could put the world on there, right? The planet, we're saving the planet. Maybe that's a concept to test with. And then of course, hey, we also asked, what was the most likely thing you would put in the bags? So we did something called Opinion Ask, which we'll talk about a little bit in a little bit later. And most people actually said grapes for one reason or another. They wanted to store grapes in these. So like, okay, let's do some grapes. And putting it all together in a test, in an Amazon search simulation test to see which one won. What do you guys think? Which one do you think won out of the leaf, the world, and the grapes? Any guesses?
I'm going to say grapes.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, grapes won very much by a far margin. Why? Because even though people mentioned the other things were like, yeah, eco-friendly, grapes just show what the product's for, right? It makes that connection in someone's mind, and that's what people mentioned there. And the interesting thing is, like, we generated these grapes with AI, so with the Variationizer tool. So this can't really exist, I don't think, where you have the green and the purple, but here you want to use the quirkiness of AI to your advantage to make people, get some stopping power and be like, hey, that's interesting, and hopefully get the click that way. So cool. So now we have a concept inside a concept that seems like it might be doing something. The next concept was, well, everyone was like very enthusiastic about their dishwasher and that it had to be dishwasher safe. So can we actually generate a dishwasher with the variationizer tool? Sure. All right, we got some dishwashers. So it's a little quirky, a little not perfect, but you know what? Good enough just for testing. So let's make a concept that has the dishwasher in there, that big call out dishwasher safe, and see what that will do for us when we later on and go to test it. And then next, this one's the more traditional route. Let's add some packaging, some keywords on the packaging, and some callouts. So something else we did was just survey people and ask, you know, if you were buying these silicone storage bags, what's your top 3 most important features? And they could vote on the top 3. And this was like a list of like 7 or 8. And leak-free actually came out on top with all the other 4, like dishwasher safe, different size options, BPA free, sturdy, and strong, all kind of like we're similar there. So with leak-free being the most, we put that on the tag. And then we also, you know, created the box, 3-pack clear reusable food storage bags, and we added some like why for the brand on the left panel there. So now we have a more traditional kind of concept that we can go to town testing with. And also note, we actually was able to add that tag inside of the variationizer tool as well. Now, what's important is to actually test with context. So it's not enough to just test like concept versus concept versus concept, because you're testing in a vacuum. Instead, what we want to do is create what we call a search simulation, where it looks like someone's on Amazon and they can actually pick and choose the option that stands out to them, and we find out why. And this is under Pinion poll. So like I mentioned, your click-through rate success is completely relative. It doesn't matter how beautiful your image is. If you don't stand out from your competitors, it doesn't matter. And that's a big, big key takeaway that we see time and time again. So first, we want to do a baseline test. So we're going to take, this is our search simulation. We're going to take the original, the Stasher one, and see what happens. And with ProductPinion, you just kind of load up the ASINs. You can change anything that you want, but essentially we're just mocking up what it looks like to be on an Amazon search. So how did the existing image do? We got about 18%, almost 19% of the clicks based on this search simulation, which is actually not bad, right? We're not number one, but we're, you know, there's definitely some room for improvement. So next step is to do the exact same test, but we replace the main image. And the other important thing is we're actually going to exclude the previous participants. And why? Because they're biased. They've already seen the test, right? We don't want them to see it again. They're probably just going to pick the same thing because that's what they picked before. So we actually exclude people from previous tests. So these are all new shoppers. So now we'll take this concept, we'll put it into the same test with our funky looking grapes, and we got worse. So it only got 12% of the click-through rate, which is interesting because, again, the big lesson, contextual testing matters. A lot of people will stop at this, right? We're testing 3 concepts. Hey, the grapes won. But you know what? When you're actually comparing it to your competitors with the titles, with pricing, with everything else, it actually failed miserably, worse than our original. So always something that we want to be aware of when we're doing this type of testing. For concept B, let's put that in there, see what happens. And guess what? We got a much higher share of the click. So 25% of people were clicking on ours versus the others. We're still not number one, but hey, you know what? We're getting there. And what was interesting with this dishwasher call out is the amount of feedback. The people that really, that chose this one, they were really passionate about it being dishwasher safe. So, one person, I don't buy anything unless it's dishwasher safe. This person, all caps, it's dishwasher safe. Seriously, I've hand washed Ziploc bags that were lightly used before, and I had to throw them away. Very much into the dishwasher safe. And this just kind of, there was a pattern of this. The people that picked the dishwasher ones were very enthusiastic and detailed with their responses because they were passionate about it. Last but not least, let's throw in concept C. Let's see what happens. And lo and behold, we actually got an even higher click share of this in the test. So 26.67%. So if you're looking at it across the board, so each one of these, it got, A3 kind of failed miserably, but C, the traditional one with the packaging, did get a much higher lift. The dishwasher did give us still about 36% higher click-through rate in our test, and the packaging and tag up to 43% higher click-through rate in our testing. But what does that equate to? If you base it on 1,000 impressions, it means 80 more people are going to your listing. And all it took was, we're extrapolating here, but all it took was, about an hour's worth of work to make those concepts for testing. Now, obviously, if you want to make these pixel perfect and you want them to be more refined, you need an agency, you need someone in the design space. But for the purposes of testing, you can do this pretty readily just to see what will get you more traction with it. And then last but not least, once we got these 80 more eyeballs, we want to convert them better. So I know we're mainly talking about just the main images on this, but one thing that really got me under my skin was like looking at this image. So endlessly reusable, radically functional. So this was one of the secondary images, and it got under my skin because it doesn't really say much. It's very vague. And then, it has some call outs of stuff that
it's called a word salad. It's just a load of intellectual bollocks, basically, that means nothing.
100%. Yeah, that is word bollocks should be the
word salad. Yeah,
in.
it's the word salad. It's just a load of old nonsense.
The Amazon term.
Yeah, that should be the official. Totally should be the official term. So something, and then not that we had to prove that it's terrible, but something that we can also do is a 3-second test. So you can actually show an image to a shopper and be like, hey, what's your takeaway from this image? And you can do this for any images, obviously. And, people are confused. They look at this and they're like, endlessly reliable, thinking it's about energy, something about appliances. It seems like it's a manual about a microwave. Radically safe. What is this? That's such a strange word to describe something. So obviously it's not doing us any favors in the conversion side of things. It's definitely something that we'd want to work on, but I figured it was just fun to throw that in there as a as a thing to look at. So it's big takeaways. Contextual testing obviously is everything. Don't stop just at concepts. Don't just look at things in a vacuum. You need to have that search simulation to get closer and to see what's actually worth testing on Amazon. So, I mean, the next step here is now, based on off Amazon data, it looks like these concepts are have the possibility of winning. Now it makes sense to put it on Amazon where it takes like 2, 3, 4 weeks to get statistically significant results that you can then, rely on to actually increase and see how it affects your actual sales. Other takeaway, people freaking love their dishwashers. This was interesting. I don't know why people are so excited about it being dishwasher safe, but I guess, makes sense. And, a really cool differentiator that Andri talked about too is, easy way to make it different is just adding those tabs, adding a little hole on it so those holes can go in the dishwasher thing to make it. And I feel like something like that would actually have legs and probably make you tens of thousands of dollars more by being able to call that out, all from just doing one Pinion video test. You get those ideas from it. So this was cool. You can sign up to our free testing newsletter, productpinion.com/lab. And if you're interested in that Variationizer tool, you can sign up variationizer.com. And that's it.
Cool. Sim first, feedback, and then we'll go to Adam.
Again, I said this last week, but that really was phenomenal, guys. I think in terms of what we do in the business is when it comes to the polling, it's very much a design thing. So we would start polling around the time that the product's already done. So the product got selected on our hunch that we could win on main image, but also like the financials, the quality of the product, all this other stuff. But what this has shown is that we need to bring this polling forward to the development stage, because we should have included something to keep those dishwasher, keep it open for a dishwasher. That's actually quite a genius idea, and no one's doing it. So it addresses the biggest customer objection straight in the face. No one else is doing it.
Andri will take royalties for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually regretting putting this public now because I feel like someone's going to fix this. So the only good thing is that silicon molds are disgustingly expensive. So at least there's a barrier to entry here. So in terms of like the pack quantity, now this is something we obviously discussed in the product research meetings that we were having. The reason So our bag is very high quality, but we're able to still do it at an okay price. It was certainly way cheaper than Stasher would be in the US, but it is just a higher quality bag. So we need to get that across, and that's why we think the TikTok angle is so important, because we want them basically coming over pre-sold on the idea and just using Amazon as a checkout. This is part of why we're doing this product, but still we want to win on the main image on Amazon, so that the relatively small number of people that are on Amazon UK looking for this market are still picking ours over the competition. We've gone for a very bright orange, extremely bold strategy, rather than the opposite of what Matt was suggesting, which was sort of trying to dial that back and being a bit more subtle perhaps. But where the others have used, like, they do look all very similar, we're going to come in very black, very orange, and look very we should stand out.
Cool.
And then, all the other customer objections that you guys mentioned, would it remain dishwasher safe after many uses? I'm confident we could give a lifetime guarantee on ours, so that'd be amazing to stick in the front, because then they know they have no concerns about quality. Phenomenal. I do think that sellers watching this should be polling in the product research phase, in the development phase, and that's something clearly we've missed here that would have made a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Adam.
Yeah, so first of all, I love what you guys have put together in terms of a software tool and just the general strategic approach. It really is genius. So I think how I would do this, I think that we've whittled it down. I love the packaging play, because you can really play with that over time. I think one hang up that sellers have historically had that I've chatted with is like, well, my packaging doesn't look like that, or it doesn't even have packaging. I've used packaging in a similar strategy to this, where the product literally came in a plastic bag, and I have never had one complaint. Other things, obviously, people aren't going to memorize what's on the package, so I think you can really A/B test and play with the verbiage that's used. What I would do in this situation is I think we've got a winner on the packaging, deploy it on Amazon, and then I would start to do A/B testing on Amazon with kind of riffs on the packaging and seeing how real customers respond. A couple things I would do here. One is play with the color, right? I think that there's so much to be said about standing out on the sea of sameness. This is a pretty interesting niche because everyone has fairly high quality 3D renders, so you're not going to win on that game. But you can win on the pop of what kind of stands out. So even though this brand has a blue-ish brand color that's part of the packaging, maybe you try some different colors on there and just see if those different colors with the exact same verbiage pops out. That's one of the things I would do. Two other things here. One is pretty pedantic, but John Durkitz kind of brought this up. I've tested this similarly. I think that for products that are less than a $50 price point, or those that don't require a whole lot of research, optimizing for mobile is going to give you a couple point lift on conversion and click through. So I'd go 1,800 by 1,500. Absolutely. I think these were 2,000 by 2,000.
Good point.
That's going to get those mobile shoppers. Another one that's actually highly related to click through rate, but isn't a part of the image, and that's the title. I don't think people read the titles a whole heck of a lot beyond those first 5 words. But I've seen this happen. Actually, the brand that I sold to an aggregator, we had a very, I would call it premium Western brand aesthetic, and the name was very Western as well. And we had a lot of Asian competition. Like you see a lot of those kind of low-cost providers that take those first 3-4 spots because of price. And it's Xinhua, BPA free, whatever. And it's like, so they take out the brand name from the title and you've just got BPA, dishwasher safe, whatever. I think if you've got a brand that's Western that actually leads to and ties into the value proposition of what you're selling, in this case, this brand very much does, I would throw Stasher on the title, because then you've got one other visual element that also ties lineage to, hey, this is safe. I can trust my kids' grapes in this thing, et cetera, et cetera. It gives that little lift. So those are a handful of things I would do, but love the approach. I think it's brilliant what's done here, and there's a lot of meat on the bone, I think, with this one.
Cool. I'll start with my breakdown, and what we'll do near the end, I'll go back to the vanity tray from last month, because it will kind of wrap around that, and as that was brought up. So obviously I've done a different approach to these guys. The whole point of this show is to test differently from each other, just to show there's many different ways of testing. Can everyone see the screen okay? Yeah, because I'm off
the
camera now. All right, so this is the original image. This is with a bit of color correction. If you look there. Now, if you can see with the color correction, you can see the purple brought out the top. Now, look at the shadow around the original image. So you could argue that these images are pretty poor in terms of quality, but obviously they're selling a product that's $23.99, I think it is. So what we did, we switched out the raspberry for a little bit of a strawberry. We love a strawberry. And then what we did, we just added $10 to this. Look at that. Nice little reflection. Can you see the reflection? Everyone see that?
Very nice. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously I'm taking the piss here. The point I'm making is small changes make a big difference. So the quality of the designer and the work that you get done. So look at the original image again. We'll go through it slowly. Look how much just someone who's good at color correction goes a long way. Obviously, it doesn't sell the whole product. We know that. So on here, a bit of reflection to obviously try and represent what it is in terms of a real photo. We know it's not necessarily a real photo. Problem we've all had is this isn't our product. And I was speaking to Alex about doing a 3D render, but it's a few hours work to knock these out because you want to have a bit more control over them. So this image is our limitation, and it'll make sense later once we get into what we're up against and comparing against. Now, straight away, you can see guidelines have gone out the window, and I've got more chance of marrying Alicia Keys than getting these two through on a Amazon experiment. So this is where it starts to become a bit tricky. We can start to play around with, 3-pack, dishwasher safe, like they mentioned earlier on. And then we've got a cheeky little tag on there that says, great for snacks. It gives the weight. Yeah, perfect for lunch. We can say, look, no more He-Man or Master of the Universe lunch boxes, guys. We've got these snazzy little things. Have these instead. These are perfect for your lunch. And then we finish it off with the pinch lock steel, but it has a patent. Now, again, this is going to be tricky. You're not going to get this for Amazon experiments. The whole idea for me to break this down is to try and get you to have some different ideas of how far can you push things, and it's going to depend on what you can test. Because me going this far and then not doing an Amazon experiment kind of defeats it, but we'll get into more of that a bit later. Sim knows some tricks and stuff. So I've done this over the top, but the idea is then you're going to run this and see what you can get away with in terms of pushing the needle. All right. So that's the image there. Now, what I did, I started with the original. Again, we used our system, which is a pairwise system. And what we do is we take, can everyone see the second tab now? They're on the questionnaire, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. So what we do is we extract the top 10 organic results in the US on that keyword. And then we insert this product in there, or it might always be in the top 10. Otherwise, if not, then we insert the product. The idea is there any chance that this could realistically rank? And what would we need to do to help with that? Because a lot of people want to, one, get attached to a keyword they want to spend money on. And if their listing's not ready, then they've got to make adjustments to their listing, or they have an expectation of being a ranking of a top 10. So the idea of this platform is to get you closer to the beat. Now, I'll be clear with you, because this is just a quick demonstration for the show. This isn't statistically significant. There's only 50 respondents on this, but it'll elevate the point, because the whole point of this is to get you guys tested. So we run this to 50. You can see here the favorability score is low, and it's got a rank of 7. So basically, as it stands, this comes to my point. When you look at these are all flat, and obviously there's a few issues here. You've got this, is that we've got no control over the image to lay them flat. A lot of these have got a lot more rich colors in and different vegetables and meats in. Okay, so that's going to help with standing out. You can see, look, this one's got a dishwasher safe, and this has got a dishwasher safe, and this one isn't really standing out. Now, once we optimized it, and then we did it with our changes and run it through the system, favorability scores high. It's come 2 out of the 10 instead of the previous one with 7. But clearly you can see what's going on here. We've wasted too much space trying to squeeze in 3-pack and dishwasher safe. because all the others have the ability to take up the image properly. If I had control over this image, I would set this up differently. Now, it has come out in second place, maybe because it stands out in the sea of same, but we don't know that. The only true test is to run that on an experiment on Amazon and see how many sales that you get based on, switching out images and having split testing images to get the real results, which really matter, of course, is the sales and the conversion rate. So going back to the thing earlier on, I won't show this stuff here, but I want to go through something quickly with recognition, because as the guys mentioned there about having packaging, what do you do if you haven't got packaging? So this is the idea of this. Now, what we do see on this, you'll see this quite often when you've got a few items on the page. It's very difficult for recognition to always pick them out correctly. You can see here, this says tape, it says wallet, and first aid is in the first aid kit. So as you can see on this one here, right, the supported label, there isn't silicone or freezer comes up as supported labels, but there is ice. And if you notice here, it says ice, and these are freezer bags, okay, silicone freezer bags. So it depends on where you want to go with it. But the key point I was going to get to, as we come here, how do you add keywords without packaging? Now, we've added the keyword there, but it's large text, and you can see here, okay? But then we go down, and then we've made it a bit more understated, right? And it still says silicone freezer bag. And now we reduce the size again, but it's too small to detect. However, what we did is we switched out the font. So it's almost invisible. By changing the font, we're able to put the keyword on the packaging. So it's a lot more subtle. So sometimes you can have it very small on there. You've got to think, people put this onto either the swing tag or they put it on the packaging. So we've put it on here, so you can't really see it that well. Let me see if I can I open this up a bit? No, it hasn't. It doesn't expand. That's the size of, actually.
This is really cool.
Yeah. So if I expand it, can you see? It's very, very small there.
Yeah.
Okay. But it does pick it up here. But since the redesign, the one thing that we have given up on is we've lost the confidence in terms of, in this, it says ice. Okay. It says ice, it says cream, it says dessert. Now, you're not going to get, in terms of the name label, because I looked them up, silicone is missing and freezer is missing. But ice is close because they go into a freezer, and it depends on how you want to cut and divide it, right? So it's not always easy to think about how do we do this using recognition for the relevant side, because attributes matter a lot. You'll find out on Thursday just how important that is when me and Wana drop part 2 of the honeymoon period and external traffic. That will explain a lot. But going back on point here, obviously, we're not necessarily going to get away with these kind of things, but I'm trying to do this in a way that is educational to get people to have ideas on how far you can try and push the needle on stuff, and don't be limited by creativity. There's so many different ways that you can test. So before we get any comments on this, just want to go back to the vanity train that we did last time. So again, same situation. We run it through our pairwise system. You can see the favorability score on this is low. But the important thing is we wanted to look at why we're going to optimize, because this is the product. This is Sim's Friends product, right? And you can see the price at $24.52. And then we see this, and this came out as a clear winner, obviously lower price and stuff. But on the surface, it gives you the impression, okay, that this is a quality product. And then what happens, you can see, look, the win percentage here. So this is how this performed against all the other products. And you can see this coming at number 2. And this came in at number 7. Now, if we look at the winner, look how disgustingly shit this product's images are. It's deceiving until you're on desktop to go into the images. And if you look at this image here, it's just the same image. It's just manipulated. Yeah. And then you can see here, all the edges are all blown out. Okay. And then you can see here, there's no shadow. And then when we get to this one, this is product number 2 that won. They come in second, sorry. And again, there's no shadows. Yeah, so there should be some shadows here. So there's so much that you can do with images if you're talking about making stuff looking more premium. Okay. So if we look, there's the original picture. This is the optimized version I showed you on the last show, because there's sometimes people, when they're optimizing, the products that go inside of these items tend to be, they're not in proportion. They're like stretched and they're not positioned correctly in there, so they look a bit odd. So that's important. And people don't know how to get the reflections as well. So this is going to come out a little bit more realistic. But to go back to Sims, we had 3 versions, because on the listing it says about its multi-use. So this one's makeup kit and this one's for bathrooms and towels. So Sim, you can give them to your friend as an option for secondary, third images, or do whatever they want with them.
Yeah, that's great, Danny. Thank you.
How was that?
I love the sneaking in the keyword.
Yeah.
So Amazon recognition uses it. That's really smart. I mean, we've got a couple of products that are. Well, there's one that's in. It's very. So it's a chopping board, right? So it's quite obviously a chopping board. We're very
Giving out
dominant.
all these products. Listen.
Yeah, well, they're not going to beat us, so I don't really mind on this one. We're very dominant on this one. And we basically we're doing pretty well on one specific niche, but it's not ranking for chopping board itself. So we need to. I think we need to sneak chopping board into the packaging on the main thing rather than what's currently on there. But yeah, doing it discreetly like that is smart.
Yeah, I love that.
Like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and another
takeaways.
How my motor got running with that, again, brilliant move on the low font like that. I think most people are obviously going to have a call out of the main keyword on their package, so you're probably going to win on that. I think what could be interesting for me about that strategy is there's some secondary, tertiary ones. Maybe they're getting 2,000 searches a month. They still matter, but they don't matter enough to plug in, and you don't have the room and everything to plug it in. So for me, it would be like keyword stuffing the image for Cosmo, for recognition and all that. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if folks in the old SEO days, people would put white fonts on their website and they just keyword stuff. So I don't know how long that works, but I think that's a brilliant strategy, Danny, to throw that stuff in and see how far you can take it for the tertiary words, and then you kind of knock out the ones that matter in the listing itself where possible.
Well, just so you know that it does get over. Okay, I'll cover this in the show, but let's just say why we try and get the keywords also in the images. It's not just about ranking, it's about relevance. You want to be able to any platform to read that image and know exactly what it is. Now, I can take that image that I showed you of the freezer bag, and I could put that into Amazon listing analyzer, just the image, and that will tell me the exact subcategory it should be in, and it will give me a title which is exactly, and it says what it is and everything just from that one main image. Now, it won't get through an Amazon experiment, but it gives you an example of the importance of attributes, which we'll cover on part 2 of the show on Thursday. So there's a multi-level, right? So we've got the customer objection, we've got getting them to click and the design and looking beautiful and everything else. And then we've got the algorithmic element. Okay. Does this make sense to all the other attributes? Because as I've covered in the first episode, when we look at launching products, the cold start, not the honeymoon, we've killed that. We know what it is now. You've got prior predictions, and a prior predictions takes the attributes of successful products and gives them a guess score. And as soon as they get real data, behavioral data, which is the posterior, okay, they then do a Bayesian update. And this is all based off attributes. So if you think the logic behind it, outside the general ranking, if you can think of the logic, the importance of attributes, and if you can get your image to read in Amazon's, listing analyzers, or you can upload them and you can get it to show in Claude, and it tells you exactly what it is and you go, what category would that go on Amazon? And then it tells you, you know that the image is important. And why do I also say this? Go and look on mobile now. How many words do you see when you scroll on Amazon? Fuck off. It's all images, right? So we've got to look at the next level. So if we look at it from the perspective, can we get all of these platforms to look at our main image and tell us exactly what it is? And if they can, it's only going to benefit Cosmo. It's only going to benefit what happens with Bert as well. Yeah. And it will feed into everything else that you're doing. Could we spend so much investment in keywords and indexing, which is amazing, which is right, but we forget about attributes. Go and look at all your clients' listings and everything on the back end. Tell me half their fields are not missing. And I'll tell you they're missing out on a lot of stuff, because all the common sense stuff, okay, in terms of the common sense knowledge graph, in terms of Cosmo, because it's a framework rather than an algorithm that ranks. If you can look at the attributes and what you've got missing, and you can fill in all those attributes, it helps the algorithms understand a bit more, because it's beyond lexical match keywords, i.e. individual words, yeah? Because we've had lexical and then semantic on top, we've had BERT, and then we look at these knowledge graphs, okay? So you've got Google has a knowledge graph, it has a product graph, okay? Amazon has a product graph because it sells products on Amazon. And then what we're looking at now in terms of other graphs, when we look at Cosmo, what is that? It's a common sense graph, yeah? And so it then feeds back into the contextual thing. So if you can imagine, when it's called PAM something attributes model, there's a newer version updated now. There's a lot that discusses the crossover of the reading of all of these images. So I think the new facet that we have to add in terms of getting better click-through rate and extra on our images is, how do we get our images to be read? Sorry, I'm going on a waffle there. Does anyone want to start talking? Sorry, I went on a mental
It's
one.
packaging, isn't it? Would it not just be packaging, getting everything you can on there? Because clearly Amazon can read small text. So for other things, you can include a very, even things that you don't necessarily want the customer to see, just so that so it can read it.
Yeah. And
then having the best selling points nice and big and bold. Certainly that's the route we're going to go down with our packaging on this one.
Another idea that came to me, and it's based on what Adam was saying earlier too, about like, obviously the title is a big proponent of how do you get your clicks up. So for example, with Stasher's case, it's patented. So what we found is, if you put a non-traditional word kind of in the front of your title, it helps stop that scroll, because everyone just puts the keyword, right? Like, silicone reusable bag. For Stasher's case, maybe, patented silicone bag. And then that kind of gets people like, hey, I'm going to take a look at that one. Another example is using like the word indestructible. So for luggage tags or something, right? So putting a non-typical keyword at the beginning, it takes up your SEO space, but it might help get you the click as...
Yeah, we call it a speed bump.
Yeah, the speed bump title test.
Yeah, and another thing that got me thinking, Danny, just as you were talking there, which I think is, again, an error that we're flipping into, is where imagery, creative, visuals, keywords, SEO, catalog management were independent efforts. Obviously, most Amazon sellers have gotten really good at the latter, and that's become, I think, much more of an ante, because it's everyone can do it. I think what we're seeing now is where imagery and catalog management exist in the same domain. So we're not talking about two separate discrete efforts. I mean, the images you use, the people you use in your images, the context fuses into the relevance / catalog management / SEO / organic rank that you're going to achieve. And some of the approaches that you've talked about here today and the team has here is how you can get into that and lean into that. So I think another thing that we didn't have time to get into here, but the context of the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth image could be the use cases and or customer personas that are using this. So a kid with a bag of grapes waiting for the school bus, a girl in fitwear at the gym with her whatever snack she has post-workout, So all those contextual images, I think, help feed not only into the conversion / behavior of the customer itself, it also feeds the algorithm with the catalog and relevance that's needed for organic rank. So I just think it's an interesting era that we're slipping into, and it's kind of a cool way to see those two worlds fused together.
Yeah, I totally agree with Adam here. One thing I'm wondering as I'm listening to this is, does Amazon optimize for human behavior more so than the AI recognition at this point and moving forward? Because I think it's a valid question, Danny, what we're optimizing for. If we're optimizing for the click-through, in the case of main image, then obviously we want to communicate the value, because people don't buy the best products, they buy the products they can understand the fastest. And maybe, as Adam said, second, third, fourth, fifth image communicates what it is, who it is for, and stuff like that for indexing and proper categorization.
Yeah. So this is how I put it down for me, and the testing I've done is customers are not looking for your brand to get over their brand per se. What they're looking for is an online user manual, right, that visualizes the customer objections and shows the product in use. That's what they're looking for. And you can still optimize for the click by understanding what the customer objections are, if you can indeed meet them in the main image, which isn't always easy if you're within guidelines. So if you imagine you've got a list of customer objections, one of the things you've got to try and do, because most people just put it in the text in their listing, right? But one of the things you want to be able to try and do is, how can I visually represent this objection? How can I show the customer? Because everyone knows how to do action shots. They do, don't they? Everyone knows how to do lifestyle shots. But what about if there's a real consideration that they have, okay? And you want to visualize it. That's pretty tough, but you can write prompts for it. So let's just say you've got a list of things. I always use GSM in this example. So GSM is basically, think about paper, the thickness of the paper. It could be blankets, throwovers, etc., etc. So if you're looking at, say, GSM, the customer's going to say, well, I don't understand what 320, 200, 100 GSM is. I understand how much this product costs, right? So let's say you've got a product that's GSM 320. Someone will have they'll have an image like I don't know, an infographic. My GSM is bigger than your GSM. Customer doesn't care. He can't see that. You've just told him, look, I'm 320, they're 200. What you could do is you could show your really thick, beautiful product in this picture, and it says GSM 320, and it's really thick. And then you take another product. You don't have to take the competitors to show it's them. You can manipulate this in Photoshop. Then you take a secondary product at 200 GSM, and then you do the one at 100. And then you title it why GSM matters. Because then they visually understand. And what did they understand there? One, they now understand what GSM is, because they can see it, you're visually represented. And now they know why they're going to spend an extra $10 on the 320 version, because it's not wafer thin piece of shit material. It's beautiful luxury. So you've actually met two customer objections there. Now I know why I'm paying an extra, and I now know why I'm not buying that 100, because this is garbage. It's thin. Do you understand? So with your image deck, if you can get your objections, I look when I have clients come over to stay, or I go to them, we Post-it notes all over the walls. We get all the objections in, everything we do, and then we write long list off these Post-it notes, and then we move them all in the different orders. Then we're looking at the problems we've got to solve, and then we're prompting and go, okay, with the limited assets we haven't got opportunity to reshoot. How do we visualize this customer objection? And you keep prompting it, and eventually something's going to work, and then you give that to the designer, or they can design a little bit themselves in Canva, and then you explore the ideas. So if you can find a way to visually represent them, not just put it in the listing, I think that's half the battle. And I think the kitchen brand, what's the kitchen brand? Kool-Aid or whatever that is? Zule. Go and look at some of their images. Beautifully online, illustrated, online user manual. that basically represents the customer objections and how the product's used. Perfect. They nail it on every image. I actually did a teardown on the rest of their deck, but they've gone back and updated the deck. It's even better now. So they had a couple of repeat images. But if you can do that with your images, find a way to visually represent them, that's half the battle. Anyway, Adam, what do you do with images?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of answer that question secondarily, but I think to Andri's point, I think that there's two different layers to this. I think that there's a generic set of customer objections that almost every customer persona is going to have. So in this case, dishwasher safe, most people are going to care about that. Leak free, most people are going to care about that. I think that you start, you know, if you want to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like that baseline needs to be covered before you get cute with customer personas and whatever else.
Yeah.
I suspect the future of search, and it's probably already trickling in as an example, is okay, let's say that you've covered that in your listing, the core things that matter. I think the next layer of optimization and where search is going is, let's say that Sim is a guy that goes to the gym regularly. So Amazon knows he buys Quest nutrition bars. He brought creatine supplements. He bought weightlifting wrist straps. And then you've got Andri, who they geotagged him as being in Subways, or he made a purchase at a tube and bought a Coke at the tube, whatever else. Like, they've got these data points. I think that if there's somebody that has, you know, one of these things with their post-workout snack in a gym, and they've got somebody who's using public transport, using these bags, I think that the search results for Andri are going to be different than Sim, even if all of those generic objections are being covered. So I think that there are a multitude of layers, and I don't think this is in all categories to the same degree. Again, I think if you're buying, you know, sheets or a lemon squeeze or whatever else, it's like, it's fairly generic. I don't think that behavior and customer archetypes matter as much. But as you start to get into those more sophisticated layers of search, I think it's going to be an individual search. And I think that we have to start thinking about that when we lay out the creative layout.
Yeah.
To answer your question, honestly, I think that like there's a lot of ways to intellectualize this, but it comes down to fairly common sense stuff. For me, click-through rate is, can you tie in the keyword where possible using packaging that aligns with the majority of the searches that are going to take place for that category node that you're winning on. I think color matters a lot. The more that you can pop, if you can inject an object into the image that others don't have. I think Matt had a really good one here. Everyone else has very colorful ones, but basically doing the opposite of what the searcher results show. And just having a clean 3D render. I mean, it sounds kind of pedantic saying all this stuff, but that's really what matters. And then having a good product that follows up with good reviews, and the rest takes care of itself. So it's not rocket science, but a lot of people obviously don't do it.
Yeah. And that's the goal of this show, to encourage more testing. The more you test, the better results over the long term. Sorry, Sim, go on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like click-through rate is getting quite interesting now, right? So before, used to essentially be reviews, review count, what the star rating actually is, the main image and pricing. If you look at Stasher, and if you look another example is in literally every Amazon marketplace now, called Loop earplugs. They are so both Stasher and Loop earplugs, neither have great images. I think the Loop ones are atrocious. It looks like a clip art job, and they are doing multi millions on every single marketplace. Silicon in the silicon food bags one, I think Stasher are one of the weakest, I would say, right now. They're quite clean, but they're literally like low res single bag in the shot, and they're selling these for $24. So the hidden factor here is outside traffic, and if you can then do all 5 of those things, get a well-priced product that is reviewing well, that has a great main image, and you're driving so much outside traffic, Amazon has no choice but to rank you higher. You've pretty much got the holy grail.
Quality outside traffic, targeted quality traffic.
Or just TikTok, to be honest, is working. It's absolutely working.
Yeah, cool. Any other points, Andre? You want to share anything, Matt?
And sorry, I just have to hop off, but yeah, no, I appreciate being on here, and I got some really good ideas. I want to stay and keep talking shop. I've been taking notes too. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gold, right? So I got a lot out of this as well, so I appreciate that.
I guess new functionality is coming.
What's that? You got ideas for new functionality?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Andri and I have been chatting with each other. Hey, let's do this, let's do that, right? So.
Now, I'd love
and
to wrap it up with more like this. You kind of have to always seek for what matters. Sellers too often compare themselves to best sellers instead of what the target demographic actually wants. They kind of don't really care about customer at the end of the day, instead of actually focusing, like being customer centric. And when you know what matters, figuring out the how to show it is where a lot of split testing is supposed to happen. So to optimize for AI recognition, to perfect the style, the best 3D rendering, the ideal composition, color correction, color pop, shades, reflections, labels, logos, awards, badges, whatever you want to try to stand out in the search results, and not just visually, but as the solution to that shopper's problem. That leads to what we all agree on, which is never-ending split testing off and on Amazon. And that's definitely the baseline, as Adam was saying, that most people understand, but almost nobody does.
Did you bring recognition into ProductPinion? Have an API call and just have it all run in there? I'm guessing that's what you were chatting about earlier.
Yeah, that's what we actually have that in the roadmap too. I already had a ticket for that, so it's just a matter of throwing that in there.
We talked about it for a while, actually. Yeah.
Nice. The final thing I'd say, Danny, is speed. Like, I think that there's so much of this that you can intellectualize and that might prevent you from doing stuff. Even if it's going to convert worse than the other one, like just doing a change, implementing it, A/B testing it, and then see what happens. If you do that faster, if you do it 20 times and somebody does it 2 times a year, you're going to be better off, even if it's kind of not the best and perfect that first 8 iterations. So I think speed and consistency is a huge thing here.
Bingo.
Yeah. Totally. So there's two parts there. You're absolutely right. The second part, you've got to reach statistical significance. And when you run experiments, they can take a while. The speed bit is that what we've been showing now, we can do that fast. Like that data that I've got there, I know that was 50 to each page. It's just an example for a podcast. There's no point me spending money, paying people to show 200, 300. We're going to get the same results. It was just for a demonstration. But like these boys, I can pull in that information within a few hours, same day, right? And I can get to work on it, and I can come up with ideas. That's that feedback. We'll make this image, make that image, make this image. That's all fast. And then you do an experiment, and then you've got to wait for it to work to a certain degree, right? If it goes miles off and it's killing your cells, no. But you understand, like what you said, you're right. You've got to be fast. If you can test this bit fast, come up with loads of ideas, then decide what you're going to run experiment-wise, and then you have to kind of sit back until it reaches statistical significance, as long as it doesn't go off the edge. But the beautiful thing is most people got more than one product. So what you can do is you can add this going for 5 or 6 products. So you're always working on one while this one's waiting for that test result, say 2-3 weeks from experiments. You're over here testing this product. By the time you finish testing this, you're back over here. But you're right, it's having a system that constantly over and over again. And it's a shame because I'd love Amazon experiments to be a bit better, but it is what it is, and you get what you're given, and we just have to work with it. Do you see what I mean? What's going on with you also, Adam? You got some new stuff that you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I'm kind of entering new brand launches, new product launches. I've got a large kind of 9-figure seller client that we're starting to dig into a lot of this stuff. Ironically enough, a lot of it is main image testing that we're diving into. So tons of super exciting stuff, man. I mean, we're kind of getting into fall, winter here in North America. So it's kind of a good time to hunker down. And we did all of our inventory planning stuff over the summer to get ready for Q4. So this is probably one of my favorite times of the year. It's kind of, the weather sucks and days are shorter, so you just kind of lock yourself inside and get after it. But I think this kind of stuff makes it exciting, right? Because there's always something to look forward to. Okay, I'm going to test this. The results are coming back for this. I think keeping as many balls in the air as possible keeps things lively, keeps the blood flowing, and keeps the business progressing. So that's kind of what the season I'm in.
Absolutely. In a couple of weeks, when I get back from Slovenia, should we do a broad match show? I've got some ideas for something that we can do. We'll do that. And then, of course, we'd love to have you back on here and feedback. Sim, overall, what's been your thoughts? Enough good ideas to take back to the team to play around with, to generate new ideas to test for your product?
Yeah, I've sent an enormously long. I don't know why I did this, because obviously we're going to watch the podcast back and do it properly. But I sent a long list of notes in for potential future iterations of the product, but also for the main image. We've got a pretty good idea of what we think the main image should look like. So what we're going to do is make that, and then make iterations. And I think that could be quite interesting for the upcoming podcast too. Because I'm more than willing to be quite open with this one. I think I feel quite safe in thinking this could be quite a good case study for people to see. Assuming that we nail it, but it gives us a bit of accountability to make sure that we do anyway. So if we make it public, we've got to do a good job.
Yeah, well, when you're ready, I'll run it through my system as well, see what that pulls up. I'm sure the boys will do the same, and
cool.
We'll see what happens in real time. All right, then, gents, thank you so much. What's going on? Yeah, Thursday, me and Juan are here for the second part. Next week, there won't be any shows. I'm programming an event in Slovenia. And my daughter is going to university, so it's a big week then. So there'll be no shows next week, but of course, back the following week, I'll do a broad match show with Adam. We'll have a ranking show, part 4 with Colin. I've got another one with Jeff Anderson that we're going to be doing. There's part 5 of that. So in the lab series, you've got an Anthony Lee show coming up, and there's more from him coming. So yeah, lots of technical stuff that will be coming. And then, of course, these boys will be back here the second Tuesday of the month. So best ways people can reach you. Sim, starting with you.
Yeah, LinkedIn or Facebook, names on the screen. Yeah, I've trying to make more of an effort to contact people back now, because it's amazing how many people contact, which is pretty cool.
Good. Andri.
Yeah, same name as you see it here. I'm everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Happy to chat shop. I've been selling for a while, so happy to help you with exit planning as well. And if you have split testing ideas, definitely shoot me a message. I'm always down to experiment.
Excellent. Adam?
Yeah, just Adam Heist on YouTube. It's been pretty quiet there this summer, but things are going to pick up towards the end of the year. But good back catalog of stuff that's still pretty relevant. So Adam Heist on YouTube.
Excellent. Guys, thank you for joining us today. I'll be back here in a couple of days. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you again soon.